Recruitment in particular, without getting in depth to where we've been with clinics this year, but to give everybody sort of an outline of where we are already for this season, we were just short of 4,500 officials in the province last year. It was 4,466. And as of today, we have 4,100 officials currently registered for an upcoming clinic, but before the end of this month of October, or fully certified and registered through a clinic that's already been conducted. So we're about 96% of the way, 94% of the way to our numbers that we had last year. So we're seeing a very consistent turnover. To break that down with the two particular levels that referee and chiefs at the association level are dealing with level ones, where we see obviously the most turnover for various reasons, notwithstanding just upgrading to level 2, and officials that come in through that sort of 12 to 15-year-old range and give officiating a try, and we see a little bit more of a revolving door. But we're at about 94% of where we've been in the past for that, where we're just short of 2,300 level 1s for this season, and last year we were just short of 25. So our numbers in that early recruitment stage, the level 1, the 12 to 15-year-old, is very consistent. Level 2s, we're at 1,430 officials so far this season, which is just short of 90% of where we're normally at, or where we've been at in the last couple of seasons. So we, again, see some turnover at level 2, and this is the area that our mentorship program really was designed for, to help us recruit, retain, and develop officials that have moved just out of that foundational learning experience that they have as level 1s. And then our upper levels 3 through 6 is maintained fairly consistent, where we've seen a bit of a bump in our level 4, 5, and 6 due to this year being an upgrade season, when we've had some of our elite officials progress in the 2-year cycle of upgrading. So as far as recruiting strategies themselves, we look at the level 1 group first. And that's that graduating age of Pee-wee players, that 12 to 15-year-old. Obviously, the best pool for young officials is to pull right out of the playing pool, to get them exposed to the game from another perspective, and really show young, use the side of the game where they can think the game a little bit more, and hopefully enhance what else they're doing in the sport, whether it be playing or potentially coaching, but giving them an all-rounded experience. So level 1 recruiting is primarily right through, directly through player recruitment. Level 2, that graduating bantam to midget player once they've turned 16, and then all adult officials that come in. That's a key area. Again, we're still pulling from players, but it can expand a bit more, because we're not necessarily going to be throwing level 2 aged officials right in at type initiation hockey. Because of their maturity and their life experience, we're going to be able to put them into a little bit more challenging hockey right away. And that's where we can expand to possibly engaging with coaches, parents, or even ex-players or participants that have left the sport, to try to welcome them back to hockey and bring them back in through officiating. There's other ways that we can try to get the message out about what we have need for in our associations as far as officiating goes as well, and that's through advertising. Whether that's within our own association, possibly using employment websites, university postings, especially in areas where you see a lot of turnover because young adults might be leaving for school or coming into the area for school. Obviously, officiating is first and foremost a good part-time job that keeps people active and teaches them professionalism, and it's a very good opportunity to expose young adults to that as they transition to that area of their lives, as well as possibly introducing yourself as a local leader in officiating to other sports, whether it be lacrosse, baseball, soccer, utilizing a network of other like-minded people in the officiating world, and seeing if we can recruit from outside our sport, but for people that are already in the officiating mindset. And then just through positive media exposure, everything from engaging our program via Twitter or on our website, which we have platforms there that we're regularly communicating from, or whether it's just yourselves as an association advertising on the association website, calling for volunteers and participants. And then further to that, seeking out other forms of media, whether it be example we had in North Central, our officiating coordinator out of Quesnel worked with the local radio station to advertise their clinic that they had coming up. To there's a podcast that's just been launched that talks about officiating, and other people that engage indirectly through our forms of media that we already have out there, the BC Hockey website, Facebook page, and Twitter accounts. So engaging people at all different levels. Before we transition into sort of a review of the clinics and we speak with Larry about the concept of where we've gone with the education process in clinics, the one thing we did want to use as a review here, now that we're sort of near the middle towards the end of the clinic season, is the actual clinic process and what the responsibilities are for those refereeing chiefs. We do have our clinic request form that's online, which we'll show you through the website. And that ultimate process is you submitting when you wish to have your clinic set up for your association, and that goes to our officiating coordinators within the district who are coordinating amongst all the other requests from the associations there. And that's where we coordinate with our instructors, which is a select group of senior officials that we have around the province to deliver those messages. And then from the approval stage, going back to you as the refereeing chief to finalize the facilities that you've already sort of pre-scouted, projections for your possible amount of officials that you see coming in, and then any type of correspondence required in regards to facility supplies and such with the coordinators. There are aspects of requesting a clinic that we may take for granted as we become familiar with the process, but when we have questions coming to us from officials, a review of what requirements are there for officials is new officials are required to take Hockey University. So that's the online course that supplemented our in-person clinics over the last 3 years, where they'll complete a 3 to 4 hour online module that takes care of the basics and fundamentals of officiating, so we can focus a little bit more on the tangible education in the clinic setting. And that's only required for the new official, whether they're 12 years old, whether they're 25 years old, or whatever, as long as they don't have an officiating credential previously with Hockey Canada. They do that course, and then they're free to sign up for their local clinic. The other requirement is, of course, for our adult officials, anybody that's 18 years or older, and we'll cover the section of the website that outlines this, as many of you probably are familiar with it. But the criminal record check, anybody 18 years or older is required to have that. And it's a 3-year certification that has to be renewed prior to registration for the local clinic. And we'll go into a little bit more depth of how that process entirely works to make sure everybody's on the same page, and then give you the resources that you can share with your officials when you're in those previously mentioned recruiting stages early on in the season, whether it's through the summer or at the beginning of the fall. So what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Larry to discuss with you the clinic process and sort of where we are at and where we're going with the clinic presentation and our education methods.
Thanks, Sean. Just to go back in history, for those of you that are new to the program, the clinics were at one time 8 hours long, and we constantly had comments from our regular officials who certified each and every year saying, why do we listen to the same old stuff year after year after year? This is killing us. It's boring. It's tiresome. Can't you fix that? Can't you find something that you can deliver a message without having us in a classroom for 8 hours? Hence came the 4-hour clinic. We were fortunate enough to take a 4-hour clinic, jam in as much curriculum as we possibly could, put in some entertainment, some video, some dialogue, have it interacted with the instructional staff, and hopefully certify and perhaps possibly teach a bit at the end. So that is how the 4-hour clinic was birthed. It was coming out of your suggestions as the leadership team across the province, and we've massaged and tweaked the clinic today as you see it, the curriculum as you see it today, comes from within. It comes from BC Hockey. It's a Made for BC Hockey curriculum. It's a couple of UBC students, kids that are going to the university in the province of BC. They came up with a curriculum this year. They massaged it. They designed it. They prepared it based on Hockey Canada guidelines. And they came together and brought us something that was entertaining, exciting, unique, and different. Now, if we can present that consistently across the province, and fortunately, I can tell you from what I've found from traveling BC that we are teaching it consistently. We're hearing back from our constituents that, in fact, it is being taught in every corner of the province the same way. It is consistent. Most of our attendees are finding it interesting and fun. We've had a number this year, and I'm not quite sure why, but this year in particular, we've had a number that have returned to the program that have been lost for 10, 15 years and decided this is the year they want to come back and give back to the program and officiate on the ice. So we're thrilled with that. Their comments are, oh my goodness, I am so glad that we've finally ditched the 8-hour clinic and we are doing 4 hours together rather than 8. And thank you for making it entertaining, fun, and light with video and ensuring that the instructors have a full grasp of the curriculum, how it's being taught, how it should be taught, and launching us out into our seasons entertained. And that was the primary focus. We always come together in April when our new season starts, and we ask, are we in those clinics to certify, or are we in those clinics to teach? And the last few years, it's been the consensus that we're trying to do a bit of both. Obviously, we're certifying, and Sean just alluded to some of the issues that we're having with CRC and online and Hockey University and all the changes that you've seen as a leadership group over the last 5 years with Hockey University and the CRCs going online rather than having to go into a law enforcement detachment, which I understand that some still have to do, but those are 1% rather than 80% or 90%. So things have changed over the years. The clinics have been more seamless than ever. And as we progress through the season, I look forward to your comments as to how we can make them even better next year. We're already having those conversations now that we're in the back quarter of the clinics for 2015. We're already starting to have those conversations about what we can do to improve, what's our weaknesses, how can we make it even more entertaining, even more fun, but also how can we give you as referee in chief across the province some teaching material, launching those constituents back into your associations and giving them something that they perhaps learned at the clinic that they've never learned before. And it's a balance, and we understand that, but it's important to us to ensure that we're doing everything we can in that reunion when we bring everyone together for 4 hours every year and we reunite. We want to do a balance of both, where we're teaching and we're certifying at the same time. So if you have ideas as we progress through this season, please send me an email, please send me a text. When I'm in your communities, in your areas, please grab me and give me those suggestions. We cannot do this alone. We need your help and your suggestions. I know many of you are doing that already. I'm looking at some of the comments online this evening as well. And I just want to encourage you to continue sending those comments because that's what makes us stronger as an organization. Sean?
Thanks, Larry. And that sort of segues into the concept that I wanted to talk about next, and that's where the referee-in-chief plays such an important role, and that clinic is that first point of contact we have with officials on an annual basis. It's where we get to sort of set the table for everybody, and I know that while we're in mid to late October now, and some of the associations are just having their clinics now, it is still early enough in the season that we're making that first impression for the year, and that's where the consistency of the presentation and clinic format is important from an overall standpoint, but also within your local association to really set everybody up for what the expectations are locally.